Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. If you are joining us on Facebook, click the link to allow StreamYard to post your name so you can comment and ask questions. Otherwise, we won't know who we're talking to. And be sure you like, comment, share, and start a watch party if you're joining us today for engaging your employees to improve effectiveness. We're with the Florida Sbdc at University of South Florida, specifically the Numa College of Business. We assist pre-venture, startup, and existing businesses and business owners with no-cost consulting, low-cost training, and information by way of market research. Those are our three main bullet points, and we've got a lot of other little services mixed in there. We're joined today by Kyle King and Michael Knoll. Wave, guys. They are two professionally credentialed business consultants with the Florida Sbdc at USF. So we're just going to go ahead and start by them giving us a little bit of their background and what qualifies them to talk about employees. So Kyle, go ahead and start.
Cool. Yeah. Good afternoon. My name is Kyle King. I'm actually at the Channel Side office in downtown Tampa. What qualifies me? I've been a business consultant for 2 years, but prior to that, I've been in operations, especially in hospitality for about 15 years. So I've had anywhere from 4 employees up to 150 employees, as well as oversaw 4 states and hundreds of employees within that. So, especially within that industry of hospitality, we know that the workforce is crucial, as well has to be efficient. So I think that's really going to be a big part of the conversation that Michael and I have today. Yeah.
Okay. Very impressive. And I'm Michael Noel. I'm a business consultant with Sbdc, also at USF. I'm located in the heartland of Florida. That's Highlands, Hardy, DeSoto, and South Polk County. I have over 30 some years, even though I don't look like I'm old enough, to have been in business primarily in the financial services industry with my own businesses, my own mortgage company, and also working for a large bank division with over 550 employees. So in those capacities, I've had an opportunity to see a lot of people interact, and that's mainly what employees will do for your business, either to the positive or negative. So I've seen a lot of that. So that's what brings me to the table today.
Okay, and both of you are DISC certified. Can one of you explain to us in layman terms what that is?
Yeah, I think Michael will probably be the best to, he's got a great pitch on it.
Well, I'll have to come up with a great pitch now. So that DISC style analysis is one of those type of analysis where people can go through a series of questions and exercises and prototype those people. We can talk about whether they like to lead or follow, whether they're animated or whether they're reserved. And one thing that's really different about the service we provide is that we don't just look at behaviors, we also delve into motivations. And that's really important. You might have people that look the same and seem to act the same, but the reason they do those things could be very different. And that really boils into your conversations and your interactions between management and employees and your customers. So it's a critical part of our business that we like to bring to the business community.
Okay, that's a pretty good pitch, I would say.
Thank you.
For those who are watching, the website address is on the screen right now, sbdctampabay.com/organizational-development. That's where you can find some more details about DISC and turbocharging your team to make them more effective. So today we're talking about employees and how to get the most out of them. Employees are one of the most costly investments a business owner can make. Employee turnover costs businesses billions of dollars annually, according to the latest research. Not having the right team in place can negatively affect a business's bottom line and create unnecessary stress and conflict, even for those who are exceptional employees. So we see more than 1,000 business owners each year just in our USF region for the Sbdc. And today we're going to start by discussing 2 of the most common questions, particularly Kyle and Michael get when it comes to employees. So Michael, let's start with you. What's the most common question business owners ask you about their employees?
Well, businesses hopefully all have goals for what they want to accomplish in their business. So it's natural for a business owner to stop and think, how can I get my employees to meet the objectives and goals of a company? So I do hear that a lot.
Okay. And what do you typically say, and what's your response typically going to be when you're
Well, I actually try and reframe the question for them a little bit, because that's very business oriented and it's a natural way for an owner to think. But what I try and get them to do is think about, how can I help my employees reach their personal goals that also achieve the goals of the business? So if we can get everybody on the bus, for whatever reason they got on the bus, if we're all headed in the same direction, you'll achieve the goals of that company. But if I am personally one of your employees and I think everything I'm doing is for you, I'm going to be less engaged. I'm probably less likely to stick around. But if I feel like I'm personally benefiting as well, achieving my personal goals, then I'm going to probably be more loyal. I'm going to see your business as a vehicle for me to get where I want to go as well.
Okay. Kyle, you have anything you want to add to that?
I think, in addition to these common questions that we have, I find that, I'm sure Michael will agree, that a lot of times our clients come in with the specific statements that, regardless of industry, they have difficulty finding the right people or finding good people. And there's always that need for good people, kind of to expand on Michael's question. It's, how do I align the values of my employee with the values and goals of the business? And I think finding the right connection, building that culture amongst your people as well as amongst the organization as a whole will help achieve both the business goals and hopefully your employees' goals.
Okay, so you actually touched on your most commonly asked question, which would be how to find good employees.
Yeah, and I think those go along hand in hand. Obviously, identifying the values and the business is going to help you hopefully find your good employees, because you're going to know what some looks like, what their personality and maybe the skills that they might have. So what I always try to recommend when finding good employees is identify the skills that you need for that position. As each business grows, you're hopefully growing and adding more force to your business. You're going to need different skill sets, but you find that a lot of them are possibly looking externally, where you could also be looking internally, and how can I develop my team and grow them, because they might already bought in to the values and what we do and why we do it. Now, how can I help my team grow? And then from that, you're looking at your key players, you're looking at your rock stars in your team, and identifying their personality and what skills they have and what they bring to the table, because they're your model employee. So utilize that as a way to help you find more. On top of that, I've found from my experiences, if you've got good people, they hopefully identify and surround themselves with like-minded good people in their personal life. They might be the best resource for you to find new people and new additions to your team.
And you mentioned DISC earlier. Again, that's a tool that we often use to help prototype those employees. So if you have an employee that's really great at their job, wouldn't it be great if you could duplicate that employee? And a tool like DISC does help us to identify those behaviors that are common among those people that succeed in particular things. It could be processing for us, or underwriting loans, which are very detailed, or sales, where they have to be especially personable and relatable. They need to be the driving force that keeps us all on track. But if we can help identify those people and those traits, then that can narrow your search as you're trying to filter through all the people that you might interview for a position and find out which are the best candidates. The second part of that for us is looking into their motivations to find out why they do things that they do. Some people might just be motivated by pay. If I'm a salesperson, you would assume that would be the thing I really want to see is, what's my compensation? But it could be you're in a field of sales that has a special meaning to you. Perhaps it's environmental, or perhaps it's healthcare. So you might be really excited about making the world a better place, and compensation might not be the most important thing. And some of those tools like DISC help us uncover those things.
Okay, and funny you mentioned that again. We actually have a comment from Claire that you should be able to see on your screen now. Claire says, what is great about using DISC and motivators with employees is that there's no right or wrong style. It's about how to use this information to help them maximize each person's talents and how to best align them with the business needs. So since she's also mentioned DISC, explain a little bit how DISC works for a business owner. What is it?
Fire away, Kyle.
DISC it's a great program where essentially the business owner can identify which team members they want to go through it, and they'll take a series of questions that really identifies what kind of behaviors they have. They're going to have a dominant behavior and then a secondary behavior that's going to help give us some indicators of how they like to be communicated to, how they like to communicate with others. And what I find is a great tool to utilize that, especially within small businesses, is that it allows you to know how to communicate with one of your coworkers. So for example, like I am a high D, which is a dominant style. I like straight to the point conversations, but not all of my coworkers are that way. They might need to be warmed up in the conversation, ask them how their day is, how their weekend was, how the family is, those kind of things. So it helps me allow a stronger communication between the team in using these different tactics that a DISC allows us to, again, better understand what our team needs, who's on our team, as well as how it fits in with their roles and their positions. And kind of to piggyback maybe a little off topic to what Michael was mentioning, is that you might find as a business owner, you've got new responsibilities that you have to add. For example, I've had clients who, they need to add somebody as outside sales or networking or whatever it might be. And so they just pick their 1 or 2 employees to go out and do it. That may not be where they're comfortable at. So they're actually causing undue stress to that employee by making them have this responsibility now, so the DISC profile allows you to identify what they're good at, and what they really are passionate about doing. So again, it's creating a great environment for them. It's also benefiting your business and your team as a whole.
And it does give some really good tips toward communication styles between individuals. There's also a huge group dynamic that's in there too. For example, you might have people who they're like myself. I could research forever, and at some point in time, it's time to stop and make a decision. But if you give me an agenda, then I'll be able to prepare in advance of a meeting, do the research I feel like is pertinent, and show up at the meeting prepared. You might have people that are ready to hear the information and immediately decide. But if you can understand your group and you can put in place some strategies just to say, for example, we're going to have an agenda, we're going to have it out to everybody in their hands 2 days in advance, that would give me time to go ahead and do my research and come in and be informed and feel like I could contribute. That way I wouldn't feel put on the spot, be asked questions I wasn't ready to answer, and feel like I wasn't able to contribute.
Mm-hmm. If you're just joining us, we are with Kyle and Michael today, who are both DISC certified. So they are able to help business owners analyze their teams that are in place to get them to improve their effectiveness. We're talking about engaging your employees to improve effectiveness today. And we actually do have a service that can help business owners do that. Remember to like, comment, share, or start a watch party for the content at any time. And feel free to ask your questions in the comments section. I'm going to go on now to what is the best time to start looking at the personalities of your team for effectiveness?
Well, certainly if you can do it pre-hire, you could probably eliminate a lot of problems. But at least annually, we have companies that want to go back and see how they're doing, to see what the feedback is from those individuals. Because we do see that they've learned skills in the meantime, and some of those profiles may drift a little bit. It could be a drift because of changes in their job roles or their responsibilities. Perhaps they were promoted and now they're less in direct customer contact and more in administration and contact with other employees. And that really could change your outlook. If you're used to going out and reaching the public and it's a new person every day, and then suddenly you find yourself in a place where you're having to deal with the same small handful of people every day, it might require different skills. And these type of tools help us help the employee learn those new skills or adjust to those new roles.
And to add, I apologize, Stacey, to add on to Michael's point, if you do it on an annual basis, I look at 2 things. One, it's a tool. And if you don't use it regularly, it's a tool that's not being utilized. So it's not relevant or prevalent for your staff. The other side is that every year you might be bringing on more and more people. So it's not just the fact of introducing these new employees to the DISC profile and utilizing it as a tool, but it's allowing you to see how they're going to be able to engage with your existing staff at the same time. So it should be an ongoing tool that you're utilizing.
Because every new team member has the ability to drastically change the way the team works together and how effective they can be.
Correct.
So Michael actually wrote an article on the 8 tasks for effectively hiring employees, and I've shared that link in the comments section. As we stated earlier, we recommend you do DISC analysis before you even get somebody in the door, because that way you know what you've got from the start. But I've got another question here from Eileen. She wants to know how companies can take advantage of DISC analysis through the Sbdc.
Well, we make that very easy. Obviously, we've got our website there at sbdctampabay.com, and you see the address there for organizational development. It's just a matter of going in there. You know, the system that we use, if you went out into the private sector looking for that, you could be spending hundreds of dollars per individual. But because of our organization having special to the organization, we've been able to put together a very affordable way to access these tools. So I would encourage people to go out there, sbdctampabay.com, to that organizational development tab, and just take a look at the service there, and certainly reach out to one of us that are certified to go ahead and talk and see what it would look like for your organization.
Okay. And so if you had one takeaway that you wanted people to take with them today, what would that be when it comes to employees and improving the effectiveness of your team? What's the number one thing that they can do? Kyle.
I would say, from my experience, it's creating an environment where your employees are comfortable, they feel empowered, they have been given the tools and the support they need to grow, and then get their way. If you have the right people there and they're constantly exceeding expectations and assisting you to grow your business, they don't need you to micromanage them. You know, the reality is that people don't quit the business, they quit their boss. So creating an environment where you're not having to oversee every single thing that your employee does. That's where you see successful businesses grow, is because they can delegate. You can be busy working on growing your business, not working for your business.
I like that. Yeah. That's so true. In a lot of cases, you quit the boss and not the company. That is so true and underlooked a lot. Michael, go ahead.
Well, again, when we look at some of the tools we have, we've got descriptors in there that illustrate with an iceberg. People are like that. People are complicated, and it's hard to figure some people out because they've got just that portion that you can see above the surface, and there's so much beneath there. And those could be motivators, they could be detractors, they could be lots of things. And I just encourage employers to go in there and try and find out something about their employees, even if it's just getting to know them with an interview. But there's so much that won't come out of an interview, because we are people. We've got our insecurities. We're not sure how much information we can reveal or should reveal. But like DISC, again, they will get under the surface without really being invasive the way most people look at interviews. And it's just a valuable tool that can give you insight into what makes those people tick. And business, really, it depends on the people. Everything about your business, whether it's your internal employee or how they react with the outside world, your customer, those things are complicated. So anything that we can use to help kind of unwrap that a little bit is a valuable tool.
Yeah, and in the interview, you're always on your best behavior during the interview, and a lot of companies don't take advantage of behavioral interview questions, which can oftentimes give you a lot more insight than your cookie cutter. Where were you last employed, and what did you like the most and the least?
Sure, and people, they've interviewed a lot of people that they already know the answer to the question. So in an interview, it's easy to give the right answer. It may be just because I need the job, so I'm going to say the right thing. But if we can find a way to really look behind the screen a little bit and see some of those things, it's interesting. Again, the DISC is packed full of scientific data. It's got so many variables in there, and the wording and the way the questions are asked are not obvious. Sometimes they're looking for the negative answer as opposed to the positive answer to see how, somebody's really putting those things together. So those kind of tools really can't be replaced with a simple interview, or especially if you're on the internet and you're just screening through resume after resume. It just can't give you that kind of depth.
Okay, and we actually have another question from Carl. He'd like you to describe the difference between individual and group disc debrief, which I don't even know what that means. So go ahead, somebody.
Well, the individual is obviously reflecting directly on that one person and how they see the world, but they see the world from their individual perspective. So they may not really initially think about group dynamics, because it's human nature first to think of yourself. It's just part of the way people operate. And in that setting, you can actually give some pretty direct information, and some of that negative feedback might be better received than it would be in a group environment. When you do a group debrief, well, that's very interactive. You have an opportunity there where you're not separating or singling out people for behavior or whether they're good or bad, but you're really trying to take an opportunity for them to see. And our group debriefs are very physical things. We have people standing up and moving around the room so they can really just physically see the difference in the way people are communicating, and the changes when they have to move across the room to a different segment because of a situation. Then they start to understand, oh, I see how that person's moving to that corner. They understand now a little bit more about how that person's perspective on the world is. So they're not just looking out one way. It becomes a two-way street, especially in the group dynamic.
Okay, and my final question is going to be, what are the resources that are available to help employers get the most out of their workforce beyond DISC, which we offer, and we'll provide the link for at the end of this broadcast? Are there any other local resources that employers can reach out to help them with finding and retaining employees?
Well, down in our area, of course, we have CareerSource Heartland. They're a great resource for companies because they can help them put together those interview questions. They can set up the interviews. They can help them with job descriptions. They've even got detailed salary information and compensation information that's not just across the entire United States, but localized to our current markets, which for us is a rural market out here where I am. So they're a great partner and a great resource for us down here.
Okay, Kyle.
And expanding on that, obviously CareerSource is a statewide program, so we have them up here in the Tampa Bay area as well. They do the same thing in all counties. On top of that, internally with the Sbdc, what I've found, I've consulted with my clients, are best practices on, employee retention as well as hiring, as well as looking at, industry benchmarks on what their labor expense should be. So they might identify if they are spending too much or if they have a little room to match the rest of the industry as far as how much they are spending on their labor expenses.
And we also partner with South Florida State College in Avon Park, and they have campuses in Hardy and DeSoto as well. They've rolled out a series of soft skill courses. I would encourage folks to check in with the college and see what they have offered there. Some of those include communication as well, but even how to develop a manager, taking those promising people inside your organization and training them, starting them along the path to learn the skills that they would need to advance. So we do have some great resources that partner with us.
Okay. Well, on that note, we're going to go ahead and let Kyle and Michael go today. Thank you guys for joining us. If you'd like to take advantage of the DISC service, go ahead and visit us online at sbdctampabay.com/organizational-development. All the details about the DISC and turbocharge program are on that page, as well as the application. There is a small charge. What is that small charge? Do you guys know off the top of your head?
I believe it's $50 per application.
Per application. It basically will analyze all of the employees that you want to put through that program, and then somebody like Michael or Kyle, because we do have another person certified in DISC as well, will come and talk to the company about what those results mean and break it down in layman's terms. Did I miss anything on that?
No, the only fee that they're going to be paying for is obviously each of the individual evaluations for the employee. But as we provide no cost confidential consulting, all of that services is provided to the business owners at no cost.
Okay, and if you're not sure you're interested in DISC, but you are interested in meeting with Michael or Kyle, go ahead and visit us online as well at sbdctampabay.com/schedule-consultant. And when you go in there, you're going to fill out a little lead form, which just comes directly to me. And then you'll need to pick a county because Kyle's going to serve really the Tampa area mostly. And Michael's going to serve the 3 counties down south, Highlands, Hardy, DeSoto. But you can also meet with them one-on-one at no cost if you're not sure if DISC is, if you're ready for DISC, if it's right for you, and you've got some other issues you want to talk about as well. And I have, oh yes, Claire came back and said, yes, $50 per assessment. All right, guys, thank you for joining us today. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Bye.